Alright, hey everybody, we are looking at the baconing today. So, if you've played DeathSpank before, like, you know, there was the two DeathSpank games last year. There was the original one, and then there was Thongs of Virtue, which was the second one. And those came out within like 2 months of each other, so there was like the weird, like, a month after the first one came out, they announced that the second one's coming out in a month. And so there was a really weird stuff going on there. Well, now it's about a year later. We have the baconing, just the baconing, no DeathSpank in the title. I guess it's part of their way of like trying to get newcomers to the series without like feeling like they had to play the first two. Conspiracy theory, I guess, is I feel like a lot of people see DeathSpank. And I know I look at the DeathSpank name and think, man, those games were not very good. And removing that out of the title is kind of a way of maybe saying, hey, we're turning over a new leaf. We're taking this back to the drawing board. We're gonna make this game really good. We're gonna fix the issues that it had, that the first two games had, and you know, we're gonna make this a real good game. Because the thing with the first two games is, even the second game was almost done before the first one came out. So there was this whole thing of like, well, the first game was okay. It had a lot of issues, like screen tearing, and the frame rate would drop a lot. So there's very inconsistent nature just as far as the technical side of things went. But also, the humor was not very good. I mean, gameplay was okay, but you know, like, I was really hyped for the first game. You know, I was like, yeah, man, Monkey Island crossed with Diablo, that sounds great. You know, Ron Gilbert, yeah, sure, awesome. Like, I'm on board, right? So I was kind of disappointed with how that turned out. Really disappointed, actually. So, like, I don't know, like, so the weird thing with like the second, like, I never played the second one because I knew, I was like, well, they were already almost done with it by the time the first one came out, so I know there's no way they're fixing any of the issues I had with the game. And so, you know, that kind of, not just me, but I know it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So now we have the baconing, right? You got a year later, you figure, yeah, we can fix this, right? We can, you know, we make right on everything that went wrong with the game, and, you know, really make things work, right? So we have the baconing here. Now, first off, the first thing you'll notice, if you played the original games before, right off the bat, you know, UI basically the same. Maybe a few, I mean, the menu is a little bit different. Let's see, some other things, like, I would say that this, maybe, like, as far as UI goes, this is exactly the same, right? You know, you flip through different pages, the inventory system is identical. All of this, the stats in the game, oops, the stats in the game are the same. That's how the stat pages were. You have the ability to just always equip your best armor. You have, you know, this is how they lay out the different quests that you have. Here you have the hero cards, where for people who don't know, every time you level up, you get to choose between three hero cards. So they can be, one might be increasing your health by 10%, the other might be increasing the amount of damage that your co-op buddy does, increasing your armor, your defense, and stuff like that. So you get these hero cards that you can use kind of as a stat boost. So all that's identical. Like, literally, this is just, you use the right analog stick to zoom in and out, you move, this is, you have your, kind of the face buttons are your weapon. So you can assign your different weapons to each button. You have, you know, your range stuff, you have your melee. You know, on your D-pad, you have you can assign your health items and all that stuff. You have, you know, the bottom of the screen shows your level, shows your health. Below the health bar is how much experience you have to your next level. In the middle of that is kind of your special ability meter. Like, everything, like, I mean, of course you're in a different area, but all of this is exactly the same. Which, I mean, obviously some of this you would expect, right? Like, you don't want them to change too much. Maybe add some new things, but I played this game for about 2.5 hours so far, and I haven't I haven't noticed anything different. And that also goes for, you know, when you get into the thing with the first game was, you know, areas like this, performance wasn't too bad, right? But I didn't mean to do that. But when you got into like cities or more crowded areas where more stuff was going on, you would start to get some like screen tearing issues. You would get the frame rate would start dropping a bit, and it would kind of get really inconsistent there. And it already kind of happens already. Like, I don't know if you've seen it before. I've seen it a little bit so far just in this video. There's been some screen tearing, but occasionally, like, the game will kind of start chugging, just having some issues like that, which is really like, yeah, the first game was disappointing, right? Because the first game it happened, and you're like, dang, man, this shouldn't happen, right? And then, you know, the second game was still there. From what I mean, it was, for people who have told me it was still there, and I mean, I would assume that it was, considering how that went. And the fact that it's still here now, you know, a year ago, you have a year to really kind of look back and say, okay, this is the DeathSpank games weren't really received very well. Some, you know, people like, I'm one of the people who I liked it more than the game was actually good. You know, I acknowledge that there was a lot of stuff wrong with that game, but I still kind of liked it. You know, I got 100, like, I completed it 100%, so I had to have liked it, right? At least a little bit. But, like, I don't know, like, even playing that game, there was this, like, kind of sense of confusion of, like, I don't know if I like this or not. And it's the same thing with this, like, it's the same, it just, you know, it really is the exact same thing, just a different area that you're in. So, to be real fast, so I don't want this video to be too long. Just some really quick stuff here of how, if you haven't played any of these games, the outhouses are kind of your save points. So you find an outhouse, and you can use those to teleport. So when you open up more areas, this map is going to open up more. So you can teleport between outhouses. So whenever you die, the thing with dying, you keep the amount of experience you have. You keep everything you have. You lose some money, but the enemies that you killed are dead. Their health levels are the same. All that stuff. So none of that gets erased. You just get back at this checkpoint area. Again, you know, the combat is kind of like this, right? Which is, I mean, it's okay, but at some points it feels very much like kind of later parts in the game when you have these super powerful weapons. It's just you've run into a big group of enemies, mash X, and you're done. R2 is your shield. Now this, I think this might be new. I don't remember. If you hold R2 for long enough and it does that little like clinking sound, you can kind of do like a shield bash to knock enemies back. Let's see what else. L2 is kind of your manual lock on. You know, L1, R1. L1 brings up your map. Now this original map right here. It's kind of the local area that you're in, so it shows where you are, you know, like your objectives, where they are with the kind of these speech bubbles there, and it shows like just the map in general. But then you have, oops, the world map, which is kind of the bigger view, right? Also with this game, at least the first DeathSpank seemed a lot more wide open. This one, so far, the few hours I played, has been very linear. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. So R1 brings up your inventory. So the inventory here, you know, this is everything you have equipped. Below that is your level, kind of your title. You have your health and your melee damage and all that good stuff. Oops. Then you have these are the weapons and the accessories and the items and stuff that you have. You have this grinder. You can use a grinder to grind up items that you're not going to use for money. Money usually isn't a huge issue in the game. Usually you have kind of plenty of money. So you have the book of notes. Your book of notes is kind of not items, but they are notes that DeathSpank kind of takes throughout your journey. So you can kind of look at those and remember, oh, this is, of course, yeah, this is what happened last time. And you have your book of stats. So these are all your stats for how long you've played, damage you've done, certain enemy types that you've killed, areas visited, main and side quests completed, percentage completed, money made, money spent, you know, that type of stuff. Then fortune cookies. So fortune cookies are kind of your way of it's your hint system basically. So that's where the adventure game part comes in. You have these quests, and so I can't really show it. I guess I can show it here. So I have this quest under the important things I need to do, which is your main quest, right? And so it says, okay, find out what the hell that was. So I have these 3 hints I can do. So I can, press square, use a fortune cookie, and it will give me a hint. And so that, and then eventually, like it's kind of how the Telltale games worked with their hint systems, where you can say, hey, I want a hint, and they'll give you a hint that doesn't really spell things out for you, and then eventually, so this one's like find an old friend, right? And then the next one is your friend wears glasses and has a grand mustache, and the third one, all right, fine, it's so and so. So again, it's kind of that whole thing, right? And if you played Telltale games before, they work. That thing works very similarly. So again, I don't want to show too much of this. I think this is, if you play DeathSpank, you know exactly what this game is. So you literally, like, from the two and a half hours I played of this, nothing has changed. Different enemy types, I guess. You have this new, like, thing where I can call in a dragon and do things. I just died again. You should use shield more, obviously. Right. But death isn't really a huge deal, like in the game, because you don't really lose anything except a little bit of money. So it's not a huge issue at all. But it's weird because I like the whole fortune cookie hint system. I like how this kind of set up. The inventory I'm not crazy about. I think they can I think they can make the inventory better. The hero card thing is cool. I like that. I like the leveling thing. I like the ideal of the game. I mean, the humor. I like the sense of humor, but all of it falls flat. Nothing. I haven't laughed in this game at all. Like there's, I could tell. Like I get the jokes and I get where they're coming. Like I understand why they might think it's funny, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't. It doesn't work, right? In the same way that maybe a Telltale game does with its humor. And that style of humor they use, like this one just doesn't work, and it's disappointing because it's something that, especially the first game, I was really looking forward to, and even this I was kind of like holding out hope that maybe they would have something with this one, but they don't. It's disappointing that it really seems like they've paid very little attention to what was wrong with DeathSpank in general, and that they haven't fixed any of the technical issues. The humor is the same. The humor still doesn't work. They haven't figured out a way to make this game funny, and the way that I know that they want to. Maybe it's just the character in and of itself of DeathSpank that I don't find funny. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Again, it's something where I get where it would be funny. Like I understand why they think it would be funny, but it's not. Just the battle system is okay, but it's still like I feel like I don't know. Like I went in. I guess I went in expecting that there to be improvements over things. I went in expecting that they would at least change some things up. Maybe offer up some improvements to the inventory. Maybe offer improvements to other things in this game. I mean, maybe they would get it to run better. But literally the only change that has stuck out to me so far, from someone who has played a pretty good bit of the original DeathSpank, probably about 12-13 hours of that game, the only difference I notice is this main menu, this menu screen and the inventory screen looks aesthetically different. But everything else is the same, and it's really just super disappointing. And just a bummer, right? Because, like, again, like, the ideal of this game, some of the concepts they have in this is really cool, but everything just kind of falls flat, and it's not executed very well, which is something that I've kind of grown used to for Hothead games. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer. It is really disappointing, and if you haven't played DeathSpank, I say give the demo for this game a try, because this game probably will be the best of the 3 games. I think the linear nature might actually work for this game a little bit better. But yeah, like if you play DeathSpank and if you like it, give the game a shot, because you might like this one. It's pretty much the same. If you didn't like the other 2 games, you should just steer clear of this. And if you haven't played DeathSpank before, give the demo a shot. I mean, if you like what's in the demo, then I guess why not get this game? Because the demo is most likely a really good representation of what this game's about.